Watch out, China. The Germans are here and they have something, ow, pretty cutting edge. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was a really lazy joke, but don't worry, I'm going to do a James Corden and remove any trace of comedy because now it's time to talk price and range, and you can buy a Q6 today for 135 grand. For that you get 638 k's out of a charge, or you can get this. This is the S-Line Quattro, the spicy version with all-wheel drive. It costs a little more, doesn't go quite as far per charge, but the bang for buck is pretty impressive, and wait until you see the gadgetry. Honestly, this is the least German car you'll ever see. And welcome to a big slice of German luxury. It's quite spacious, it's quite dark in here as well. It's like sitting inside a big piece of black forest cake. Now, let's talk tech specs. In both versions of this car, both the entry level and this, the S-Line Quattro, they are both very well appointed, very comfortable vehicles. However, as much range as they don't quite have what I would call amazing acceleration. It's kind of like when you bite into a vegan hot dog. You know, it's not bad, it's not what you're expecting. As for the battery, it is impressive. It's got 100 units of electricity, 100 kilowatt hours, of which almost 95 kilowatt hours is usable. But what makes it interesting is that even though this is an 800 volt system, so you know, faster charging, it is actually two 400 volt packs strapped together. And that means that when you're at an 800 volt hyper rapid charger, like those ones that ChargeNet have, it'll charge at its full speed. But then when you go to a 400 volt charger, it doesn't need a step-up transformer, it doesn't need a DC to DC converter. It can go at full 400 volts by separating the two-pack into two 400 volt system. And now that I've put everyone to sleep, let us talk style. The thing is, I racked my brain to try and find a single word that sums up the exterior styling of this car, and the best I can come up with is normal. I mean, it looks like a normal Audi. It's not radical, although they have done their part. They've added in some cool looking wheels, they're pretty snazzy. Also, look at those buttresses that wrap around the back of the car. Now they've done that to try and emulate the original e-tron GT, and wait till you hear the name of those buttresses, I'm not making this up. They are called e-tron blisters. I thought that was a good idea. I mean, it's not an ugly looking car, it's pleasant enough. The back is pretty nice, it's got a nice rear end, unlike me. And the front, I mean, it's got a very busy grille going on, and every country seems to have a different Audi grille. But this one looks all right, although it does have shiny black plastic around the car. That's one of the little features you get with this, the S-Line Quattro. And I'm not sure that's really a good thing, because, well, it's gonna look pretty scratched after a year. It's gonna resemble my face. One thing that makes this car stand out, however, is the OLED light clusters on the back of the car. Look at that. When you fire up the car, it flickers and glitters and does different animations around the back. Looks very cool. In person, it's spectacular, and you can change the animations as well. You go into the menu and you have an endless selection of different animations to choose. The only way you could maybe make those lights blink anymore is if you held them hostage and forced them to make car reviews against their will. Moving into the inside though, and take a look at this. It is busy, but it's quite swish. The first thing you'll notice is obviously this central display that sort of sweeps in a curve in front of you. And you might think it's a little weird, but it's actually entirely intentional because it's designed to mimic the reach of your arm. So as your arm moves over to the left, you don't have to lean forward like you do in so many cars with flat displays. This being the S-Line version, you also get embossed S's on the seat in case you forget what car you're driving. And you also get, wait for it, aluminium pedals. Yes! To make the car go faster. Remember in the 90s we used to stick those things in our cars thinking, well, that'll make my Mitsubishi Mirage go faster. It didn't. One thing I also like about the interior is that it's well fitted. It all feels solid. There's no creaking and squishing of plastic noises. Plus, this is one of my favorite aspects, it's got regular vents which are manually adjusted. Even though this is a high-end car, the vents are right there. This is logical. Same goes for this. Look at this. It is a physical, mechanical, boring indicator stalk. Thank you! Honestly, when I come to power, safety features, headlights, indicators, wipers, they will all be stalks or buttons. There's no need for them to be touch screens or voice commands. There's no need. Let us now move on to comfort, and let's talk about what sets this car apart. It is the suspension system. It has adaptive air suspension, which means with the push of a button you can select the drive select mode and put it into dynamic mode, which means spicy, and the suspension will become tighter than me when the bill arrives. But then if you slip it into comfort mode, I cannot stress how comfortable these vehicles are, even on New Zealand's pitted, pockmarked roads. Honestly, our roads are sometimes like a teenager's face, but this, it just glides over them. As for seats, the Q6 comes with very comfortable, fairly wide seats, so if you're a bigger person, I think you'll be okay in these, although it does have great support. It's got more support than a Life Coach, big bolsters on the side. It's a very comfortable place to be. And both versions are available in either synthetic or leather seats, but as far as I can tell, black is the only option. As for seated heats, you have heated seats in both the driver's side and the passenger side and the back seats. However, ventilated seats, that is an optional extra for just the front 2 seats. This one has it, however, so I'm going to turn it on, and instantly I can feel, oh, it's cooling down everything. Oh, great. What a great way to have lovely cool Spuds. Let's move on to space now. And being a larger vehicle, it's got larger dimensions, which, like Duolingo, translates fairly well, at least in the front. Like here, I've got loads of room above my head. I can put the seat all the way back and barely touch the pedals, and I'm 5'10" or 178 centimeters. So if you're a larger person, both either in height or girth, then you will fit in this car, I reckon, A-OK. I cannot say the same for people in the back. Yep, look back there, there's not a lot of legroom. The headroom's okay, but the legroom will leave you wanting more. Plus, if you are perhaps kidnapping Guy Fieri and you want to put the Mayor of Flavortown in the boot, well, the Mafia test, it passed with flying colours. Heaps of room back there. Look at all the space. And if you pull these little levers and drop those rear seats down, suddenly, wow, look at that. Look at that. Look at all the room you've got there. You can lie down fully in the back of this car. Heaps and heaps of storage for skis, children, famous cooks. But wait, there's more. Go up to the front of the car, pop the bonnet, and look at that. You get a fartment, a 64-litre fartment or front compartment, allowing you to put in your chargers or potatoes. No matter which way you look at it, there's heaps of room. In fact, go back to the boot and look underneath that large Audi rubber mat, and underneath the floor there is more storage, and that is where the rear parcel shelf is housed. It fits in there neatly, and as I found out, I couldn't for the life of me get it out of there, so it's kind of stuck in there, I think. Yeah, but if you can look past that, there is more storage underneath that. Plus the boot itself, it's got cubby holes and cargo bays and straps and hooks, and it's even got a little button there that you can press up or down to lower the car itself, so you can easily get things in the boot if you're hauling heavy loads. The only problem is it does take about 6 to 7 working years for it to start actually happening when you push the button. Let's talk gadgets now, starting with wireless phone charging. Of course it's got it, although it is at a fairly weird location right here at the front of the dashboard. But it does have little vents in there blowing cool air on your phone as it charges to keep it cool. That's very smart. Plus, of course, it has robot and fruit connectivity, wireless as well. But now let's move on to the piece of resistance, or pieces of resistance, because we start with all the screens. This one, right in front of me, is a massive instrument cluster. It's got all the usual stuff, your regen braking stuff, your phone numbers, your speed. Then we move on to this one, the central display. This is the main user interface. This is the fun one. Because sure, it's got the usual stuff you'd expect to see here. It's got your navigation, it's got your Alexa, it's got your driver assist. You can log into your emails and all that boring stuff that you would expect Audi drivers to do, right? Wait, scroll down, the apps get more colorful and you get more functionality. Like, first of all, you've got a digital key now in this car, which means that you unlock and lock the car just by walking up to it, and it detects your phone in your pocket, just like a Tesla does. Then you've got YouTube, so if you're having trouble staying awake, you can watch some of my videos. We've got weather, we've got Zoom, which sounds horrifying. Karaoke! This car has a karaoke system built in, as well as, wait for it, games. Yes, an Audi with games! It's got a racing game you can play. It's got tennis, it's got weather, it's got Alexa, it's got Spotify even. It's got everything you'd expect in a modern car. In the past, Audi's designers, I always found they've been kind of like, why would we give our drivers something fun? They don't want fun. I don't know why my German accents always sound so camp. It seems like now it's finally a fun vehicle that you could really enjoy. And it gets better. There's a screen on the passenger side as well, and it doesn't just tell you the time. You can change your radio station information, you can change your route guidance information, you can even play games on that. It gets better. You know, it's got a heads-up display, right? And it's a very, very detailed heads-up display with augmented reality, which means that it will project road signs, arrows, and hazards, and they will move across the screen in front of you. But it gets even better. You know these paddles that normally we use to adjust the regenerative braking? That means the amount of electricity that goes back into the battery when we're slowing down. Doesn't bring you to a complete stop though. That's a minor complaint. It does have a creep mode. But using these paddles, you can control games on the heads-up display. You've got ping pong games, you've got a spaceship game where you can use these to make them a machine turn. It's really good fun. It's so much fun. The only downside is that if you are playing this game at a charger, for example, and someone walks past and sees you playing this game, you will look slightly deranged from the outside. This S-Line version also comes with this, a Bang & Olufsen sound system, which sounds very crisp. Honestly, the audio that pours out of these speakers is so rich, it doesn't pay tax. If you're an older person, this won't shock you, but if you're young today, in 2025, this is going to be weird. As part of the storage package, you get this, which is not a keep cup. I was going to fill it with a latte. It's a cigarette ashtray. An actual ashtray, which seems to be made of plastic. I'm sure they've thought of it. Not only that, you get this. Remember these, kids? This is an actual electronic cigarette lighter. Like, I mean, I don't smoke, but it's nice to have the option. It goes without saying, obviously, don't smoke. Whether you're a person or a car, you should not be emitting smoke. The only gadget this car doesn't have that I think it should is vehicle to load. It doesn't have one of those devices you can plug into the charging port and draw 230 volts out of it, which is great in a power cut or a crisis or a climate-related emergency. You can't do that in this car, and it's a shame, but the Audi guy I was speaking to, he gave me the impression it might not be off the table. And that's good, because when I come to power, vote for me by the way, V2L or vehicle to load will be mandatory on all cars. I think I'd make a good dictator. But one thing you can control is where the electricity comes from for your car. Now, I put solar panels on my roof just a few months ago, and honestly, I'm laughing all the way to the bank. My last power bill was minus 150 bucks. It's crazy. So if you want that sort of lifestyle, you want clean energy that you can control, put panels on your roof obviously, the next best thing is join Ecotricity. It is New Zealand's only certified climate positive electricity provider. That means every single electron that Ecotricity provides to you is sourced only from the freshest free range wind, hydro and solar electricity made right here in New Zealand. And it's clean, and it's climate positive, and it's really affordable. Check them out. Go to the website, there's a little box you can put your address in to see how much money and carbon you can save by switching. Do it, ecotricity.co.nz. But enough about toys and gadgetry and comfort. Let's go and see how this thing handles the open road. What's it like on the corners? What's the efficiency like? Well, let's go find a 100k zone and put my foot down. And we're on the open road. I have the adaptive cruise control switched on to a maximum of 100, and it'll maintain the speed of the vehicle in front but won't exceed 100 k's an hour. It's really smart. Works a treat. It's telling me on the heads-up display where the hazards are, where the vehicle in front is, all that useful stuff. Okay, now the road noise is not bad. For an Audi, it's pretty good, because quite often German cars, they're not designed for our horrible roads. They're designed for those lovely, smooth EU-funded roads, not these which are put together by Dave on a Friday afternoon. These ones are a little louder, rougher, but it's not bad. One thing that's worth mentioning though is that this Q6 is the first Audi that's been built on their PPE platform. And I'm not talking about personal protective equipment, hard hats and reflective vests. PPE is Audi's new platform, which is scalable. So it's basically a skateboard with motors and batteries that is scalable. You can make it bigger or smaller depending on the vehicle. You can use it on different vehicles as well. And because it's scalable, it means it keeps the price down. Because let's face it, this is the S-Line version of a brand new Q6 with all the gadgetry of a high-end Porsche, but for much, much less money. This PPE platform, I reckon it's a winner. Now I get the impression that this is going to be a great car for long distance driving. I've already put about 300 Ks on the odometer in the last few days, and it's been flawless. However, I don't know what it's like in the corner. I still haven't put my foot down with acceleration either. So what I'm going to do is put it into dynamic mode. There we go, dynamic. So the suspension will lower down, it will toughen up, and then I'm going to find a nice empty slice of road and see what the acceleration's really like. All right, are you ready? Let's finally see the Quattro S-Line Q6 acceleration. I'm not expecting amazing things, but let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Bugger me. It was it's a lot of torque. Oh, okay. Oh, wow, it doesn't stop. Far out, okay. Okay, it's not a rocket ship, but off the mark. Crikey, it really pushes you. Okay, that's cool. What about the cornering? Okay, I know a lot of great corners around here. Let's go find out. So, it's now in sports mode or dynamic mode. Let's see how it handles the corners. Now, I'm expecting it to do well, but it is still a heavy car. The reason I'm expecting it to do well is because it has that low center of gravity that only electric cars have, because its battery is slammed right down against the road. You can't get that in a combustion car. Oh yeah. Okay, that's down to the suspension and the tyres. That's excellent. But we have much more to cover yet, including a list of things I don't like. So for that, we need to crack into the Spud score. Starting with performance, and it's good, it's punchy, it's no slouch, but it's also no threat to a high-performance EV, so I'm awarding it 6 potatoes. Handling is next, and it's pretty good. I mean, for its size and weight, it feels quite secure and predictable. It doesn't wallow around too much, so 8 spuds there. But it's comfort that the Q6 excels at, and if you're gonna be stuck in traffic in this machine, you're gonna love it. Honestly, it's as quiet as an electric car really. I mean, the only small complaint I have is that it pays to limber up before you need to extricate yourself. Let's talk efficiency now, and I found the official efficiency of 18.7 kilowatt hours per 100k to be pretty accurate, meaning you'll likely get around 500 k's per charge in this S-Line Quattro in a mix of city and highway driving. Gadgetry's next, and where do I start? It's got more games than the Paris Olympics, it's got its own maps with an intelligent planner telling you where to stop on your journey and for how long, plus every screen is full of functionality. It's a shame it doesn't have vehicle to load, so I'm knocking a potato off there, but otherwise I'm loving where Audi is going with this new playful approach to their cars. But is it good value? Well, actually it's not terrible. I mean, it's a top spec Audi for 156 grand. Sure, it's out of my price range, but if you can afford one of these, it's really not that bad for the prestige of a commanding, cutting-edge Audi SUV. As for charging speed, I can't really give you a clear answer, because when I plugged into one of ChargeNet's many hyper-rapid chargers, it sat there at a fairly low speed for ages. It took more than 40 minutes to get to 80%, which was odd. The thing is though, I know these chargers can pump out as much as 300 kilowatts, and I know the car can charge at 270, which is a staggering speed, but for whatever reason it was slow to begin with. So I'll just chalk this up to a glitch in the matrix, because I reckon in the right conditions, the Q6 will charge from 10 to 80% in about 22 minutes. Besides, after 500 k's of driving, you're going to need longer than that, but at this stage, I can only give it 6 spuds. What about style? Well, the proportions are good, and I think the tragically named e-tron blisters look cool, but the grille does look better served for collecting plankton, so I'm giving it 7 spuds. But is it fit for purpose? Well, if you can afford it, it'll do just about everything you need. It's got loads of room for all your gear, it's got games for the kids, it's got a good range per charge, it's got a great tow rating, it's ideal for heading down to Ruapehu for some weekend skiing. It's a well-rounded vehicle and proof that the Germans can make a very compelling, high-tech EV. But it's the PSC which will influence your purchasing decision, and I have to say I'm not entirely convinced that Audi's designers had potatoes at the forefront of their minds when creating this car, as it only holds 47 tubers in its dash. Not bad, but it could do better, which gives the Audi Q6 S-Line a total spud score of 71.
There you have it. That is the guts of the Audi Q6. It is a whole new kind of Audi, and this is how Audis are going to be going forwards. New platform, new user interface, new playful toys, and it's well overdue because, as you've seen, it is still a serious driver's car. It's still a work of art, but now this work of art is in an art gallery that has a gift shop and a toy section.